Hi, Dave. How are you?
Well, first of all, we just addressed. She was attacked by an avocado earlier this week. The avocado is on the loose, still at large, and is ripening. But yes, no, this is all true. So
this is
now
all
you
true.
know.
Yes,
Now you know.
hence the bad makeup, and
You try.
I did my best, but I'm not a makeup girl, so. Yeah. What are you gonna do? And yeah, and the avocado is vicious and relentless. Yeah. So, but we are here and very happy to be so. So, and you have to be the eye candy as usual. So, well, I'm going to do a little welcome if that's cool. So, obviously, welcome everybody. I want to just say I did an event here a couple of weeks ago, and I did sign body parts. Oh. No. So it's very exciting to be back. And just wanting to say that I don't know how many of you have actually already read the collection. If you haven't, if you have, you're very lucky. And if you haven't, you're in for an incredible, I was going to say that I stopped myself. I tried to stop myself. It's true. But no, I mean, I think the real reason that we're here is all to join in incredible irritation at Mr. Duchovny mastering yet another creative field. It's not enough, movie star, TV star, heartthrob, New York Times bestselling author, director, 5-6 novels, and what am I forgetting? Right, rock star, father, It's no, you're forgetting that you graduated Phi Beta Kappa and summa cum laude from Princeton, went to Yale, and in fact, which we'll get back to, I discovered at the age of something like 21 or 22, received a poetry honorable mention from the Academy of American Poetry for a poetry prize at Princeton. So clearly, this is a long career that I want to hear all about. But the irritation being that you turn out to be also just an amazing poet. This collection is fantastic, and it is thought-provoking and intellectually challenging and moving and bare honesty, lyrical, coarse, all the human things. And just to reference your own references, full of sound and fury, but in the best possible sense, and not told clearly by an idiot, as we just saw. So what I would love to just kind of talk to you about, or start with, let's say, is let's talk about the journey, the intervening 40 years between, or whatever it is, between a poetry award in college and now.
Well, that's why it's called About Time.
Yeah, I wondered about that because that doesn't come up in the collection.
No,
as a theme.
It's about time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that was an American Academy of Poets thing. I don't know how legitimate that outfit is, to be honest with you. It's a little bit like being able to marry somebody, getting the certificate.
Oh, yeah.
I think, and it was just honorable mention. So, but I do have it in a lucite kind of a thing nearby because it amuses me that I got honorable mention from the American Society of Poets.
It's excellent.
I've never seen the society. I probably never met as a body. They don't really exist. But there I have it. I wrote poems as a kid in high school. My father was a writer. My mother was a school teacher. So I was very involved with reading. And that was really my mother's goal, was to make me a reader. She really thought that she came from a very small town in Scotland, grew up very, very poor, and the only way to advance oneself was to become educated, really. And she was the first person in her family, man or woman, to go to college. So she was pretty fierce, and she was a teacher. So that was inescapable for me, even though I just wanted to play ball outside, but I had to read. And then my dad was a writer, identified as a writer, even though he didn't publish his first novel till he was 72.
But he
His
did.
first and only novel. And he did. He did. And we did a reading at Dutton's, actually, in 2000, and I think it was 2001. It was shortly after 9/11. And it was sad because he finally, sad obviously for other reasons, but he'd finally written this novel, and he's going on this tour, and nobody was coming out to see. So we actually did this reading at Dutton, where it was literally just me and my brother and my sister in the audience. And the best part was at the end, he opened it up for questions. Yes, Lori. Why did you leave? It could have opened up into a really interesting thing. So, and I learned when I did Finding Your Roots, that show with Henry Louis Gates on PBS, which is public television, which used to exist in this country. I don't know if it does anymore. But I found out that my grandfather, my father's father, was also, I knew he was a journalist, but I didn't know he was a novelist as well. But he wrote in Yiddish, and he published serialized in the forward, or the forward, as it's called in New York. And so he wrote these serialized kind of melodramatic, stories that he didn't know the answers of. He didn't know the end of, and, as he was writing it. Like Dickens, he would just write and get paid by the word. Unfortunately, I don't know where any of those are. So anyway, I didn't know about that, so that wasn't the legacy I was chasing. But I have found that out. So there's a lot of writing, a lot of reading around me. So I think it was always something that I wanted to quit myself at.
Right. I mean, and that in the poems themselves, there are a lot of literary references, or but
It's
whether
interesting.
Whitman or Frost.
I do that a lot in my novels. I'm filled with a lot of other works, and I was reading this guy just the other day, and he made the point that, because I've been irritated by things like fan fiction, they can be very irritating. And this guy made the point that all fiction is fan fiction. And I was like, what do you mean? Because you're entering into a conversation with works that have come before. You're a fan of literature. You're a fan of poetry. When you allude to these things, it's like you're continuing the fiction that they started. And I was like, okay, I'm going to open up my heart a little more to this idea of fan fiction.
All right. Well,
not reading it.
As long as you're okay with romantasy, I'm fine.
The idea,
the idea of
that it is a conversation, and that anything I do is a conversation with books that I've read, with books that have influenced me, either consciously or unconsciously. So I thought it really opened up my eyes a little bit in a nice way.
I like that idea, although there's also, copying and not, well, anyway, we know all about that. Are there, just because you mentioned it, who are the poets from back then, or writers that you, or now, who would you say are the biggest influences in terms of your fandom?
John Berryman, John Donne, all the Johns, really, all the Johns. Dickinson, Emily Dickinson, Whitman, Ashbery, Wallace Stevens, definitely a lot. Shakespeare, obviously.
Yep.
Everybody's influenced by Shakespeare. And through Shakespeare to the King James Bible, because so much of Shakespearean diction comes out of that first amazing translation. And so much of what we take for granted comes out of the Bible as well, in terms of wisdom and parables and phraseology. So I can't. There's lots more, but I'm
sure it's a really annoying question to put somebody on the spot.
But it changes. It always.
I just
changes
thought, why
too.
not?
That's the interesting thing, that it changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That good works you can come back to constantly in your life and have a different reaction to it, because you're a different person every few years, every month, whatever, however much you change, however you change. you can come back to the great poems and find different things speaking to you. And that's the sign of a great poet, I think, that he or she can speak to you in different times of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things you talk about, and that's very much in here, and you talk about it in your introduction, is this idea of sort of achieving immortality, or the desire we have to, as writers and poets, to not die. I hate death. I'm against it, by the way. I deny it completely. I know. Well, you know.
No, I wish you luck.
Well, there's a lot of philosophy and engaging, obviously, in this book with the concept of death and immortality. But what I'm referring to particularly is the notion that years from now, that Whitman is affecting you, that that the great people are still speaking to you, that you exist for them, and that if poetry is a sort of a piece of one's soul, and very personal, we also hope it's universal, right?
Well, Whitman actually says it in the poems.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to you. I'm in your ear.
I think you say you're a citizen of the world, by the way.
So it's that's kind of an ego way to go through it. There's a little bit of the fear of death, or being quiet, being silenced, being silent, no longer having anything to say, no longer being heard. There's some succor in that. Succor, Succour, not Sucker. There's some warmth in the idea of not caring about being heard anymore either, which I embrace a little at the end of the book. But I think, when I was younger, I thought more about being famous, being known, being known throughout time, being known throughout place. Seems to be it seems to replace something in you, which is not. You have to fill that place otherwise,
Yeah.
But there is something to the game of thinking, when I'm no longer here, maybe the words mean something to people. But then again, I won't care because I'm gone. But in many ways, I've thought about for my children and for the people that I love, people closest to me, because the things that I write are in many ways the truest testament to who I am. So in a way, it's leaving it not, for the world in a way, but also for them.
For them, yeah. I mean, but what's interesting, you just said it's the truest sort of piece or expression, right, of self, of
feels that way. It's certainly different from, if I've done something as an actor that I think is true or honest. It's just different. It's not better or worse, but there's no other cook involved in this.
No.
When I'm acting, I'm usually saying somebody else's words. I'm being directed and being cut by some, whatever. There's different cooks working on that stew. This is just a true kind of, this is the best I got. This is what I'm trying to do.
And yet you say, and I'm assuming ironically, that poetry is lies. I think it's your opening salvo in the collection.
Well, I mean, just because you have to use words, and words are approximations, and a lot of my poetry is really interrogating what these words mean and how we come to use them, and trying to get at the truth underneath the customary use of the words that we have become customized to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so going back to you were in academia, and obviously you switched. What made you switch from an academic literary sort of future to acting?
I mean, many things. I mean, acting just seemed like a lot more fun, for one. I was a social person. I think I'm an introvert, but I was also social. So I liked playing games with people. I liked sports. So I liked the sporting aspect of what acting was, which was like if the line is the ball and like we're going to throw this these lines around and try to catch them. And I liked all this. I probably lacked confidence in my writing to think, oh, I'm going to make a life doing that. I'm going to make a career doing that. And I just didn't think. I mean, I didn't make a decision.
Right.
I'd never make a decision. I don't think I've ever made a decision. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be an actor. I'm not going to be a writer. Oh, I'm going to be a writer. No, it was just like, here I'm going here. You know, here I seem to be here right now.
Right. And so then you just, how did you do this? How did you decide finally, after all this time,
That it was about time.
that it was about time? You got, yeah, exactly. What was it that
I've
made
always been
you?
writing poems.
Right. Well, you said that you've been writing.
Right. Why publish?
Why suddenly now did you? I mean, because I think it's always courageous to put oneself out there.
I think poems are, you know, without like copying the title for myself, I think it is courageous to be sincere, you know.
Yeah.
Even though some of them are ironic and funny, they're all sincere.
Can you just read Cupid for us?
Cupid, yeah. It's sincerity is courageous, I think. Yeah, in this world right now. So, yeah, I would accept that, and I think. For me, it was a time because I published these other novels, and you know, they're stories. They're not really as intimate. They're intimate, but they're not intimate in this way.
Right.
And I also knew that you kind of have to, you know, going to be subjected to the game of, oh, is that about that person, or is that about that time, or is that about that thing, which I didn't want to play. But I also knew that the way I write, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, like. It's personal and universal enough. I was hoping.
Yeah.
And instructive enough. So I just thought, you know, poems have meant a lot to me. I'm not a religious person. Poems can function almost in a religious way for me as a touchstone of knowledge or wisdom or spiritual depth.
Yeah.
In any moment. And I thought, that's a good thing. I want to play that game a little bit.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
So about time, which you know.
Yeah.
But it's also there's so much in here about the concept of time and memory and you know, past, present, all those dichotomies and searching. But the opening poem that you chose, I mean, and I guess. Was called Do Over.
Yeah.
So I think I understand, having now really sort of engaged with the book, but why did you choose that one first?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's not as smart as he looks. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Because maybe it was the longest. I don't know. It was. I felt like it was a good poem. I felt like it had stuff. It had a lot of different stuff in it. I thought it was kind of funny, but it was also it was kind of profane. It had a couple curse words in it. I think it like had a lot of what I do in one poem.
Right.
So, and then I thought Do Over is kind of funny to start a book with that idea.
Yeah, well, it was about time you did it. Well, I also think there's a line in it that I can explain to you why you put it there first.
No. I mean, I think you know better than I do.
Probably not, but there's a line in it that that you say the past suddenly seems rife with possibility.
Yeah.
Which I love because, you know, it's like suddenly looking back at everything that you've done, and it's about time, and here's your chance, right?
Yeah, no, I like that line too. If I do say so myself, because you know, we think about the past as a discrete and dead thing. It's done, like it doesn't have possibility. It happened. It was the working out of many possibilities, infinite possibilities, but it happened this one way. So I just like this idea of having a perception where all of a sudden the past is opened up into different possibilities, which I don't think of normally. When I was writing this, I read this this thing about time, about the concept of time. And, we think of the future ahead of us and the past is behind us, but there was a culture, and I can't remember what it was, but they think of the future as behind them because they can't see it. And the past ahead of them because they can see it. And that completely is a brain teaser for me, but it really got to the root of how all of our perceptions of the biggest things in our lives are kind of cultural and commonplace. They're given to us. We all think of the past as behind us. But then again, what would it be like to write poems if you grew up thinking the past was ahead of you and the future was behind you?
I have no. You've actually rendered me silent.
That would be a different poetry.
It would, but actually, interestingly,
neither of them are true.
Yeah, but I think actually you accomplish that in a lot of these poems. That exact sense of sort of suspension, words that are suspended in time, almost sort of in formaldehyde or something. That it's like you throw something up into the air, a lot of question, an idea.
Yeah.
Sort of about the circularness of time or memory or all of those things we were talking about, and they just sort of stay there. You ask these questions in a way, and then but that the answer's doesn't exist, or I don't, you just sort of throw it up in the air, and that is really interesting, and a sort of consistency that pulls all this together in a really.
Do you want me to read Do Over? Should I read it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you have to also promise to read Cupid and possibly this and possibly that and possibly Carbon Canyon and possibly Hope You're God and possibly
Yeah. So this is the first poem that you referred to, and I've never read this one out because it's long. Well, it's longish. Do Over. When you move, dark bits of your life are shaken into light. A Polaroid, receipts from a place you've never been, a marble, the midnight attic of your choices. Such labels sink me like a stone, so I drive away with you to work on our relationship, as naked as the law allows. Still, the spiral narrows deeper in, flaying me of adjectives. Being not myself confers strange powers, only a couple of which I ever discern. But I can see at night. That's one. All that is created can be barely understood. They say the Big Bang happened when the devil told God to go fuck himself. Be that as it may, I need to find a fiction we can agree on. This bridge, this lonely crossing that I build for us. You can't leave home unless you have one. And if your home is assembled poorly, you will be defined by what clings to you in your worst moments. Your anger, your anchor. It's freezing on the avenue of the giants. The lightness I thought would free me does no such thing. Only desire returns me to a semblance. Only desire, like a tab of ecstasy, stamps a smiley face on oblivion. I worry your skin like a rosary. Momentarily, even the seals make sense and are in tune. They sing, as you learn, you teach. The past suddenly seems rife with possibility. In the future, I shall let my wordless heart do all the talking. On the drive home, I record the new names, Arcadia, Eureka, Ukiah. And I remember riding the LIRR when I was a kid, hearing the magical spells chanted by the conductor, Montauk, Patchogue, Massapequa. And when the train sometimes slowed, I imagined jumping off unseen between stations and walking into these strange towns, leaving my parents behind, a 10-year-old city boy knocking on a Long Island door saying, I'm a citizen of the world. Take me, rename me. I'll mow the lawn, do the dishes, wear the hand-me-downs, whatever. As each second passed, geography would change my fate. Every moment brought new towns, new families, new lives. Those were the days. But I never did step off. No, I don't think I ever did.
Gorgeous. Really beautiful. I'm so glad you read that. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. That reminds me a bit of Philip Larkin, The Whitsun Wedding.
Oh, wow.
That sense of traveling and observing yourself and the outside world at the same time.
So now I'll read Cupid. So
Just to
yeah,
please
just
me.
to cleanse the palate.
Yeah.
What page
Do
is
you want to know what page it's on? I think it's on. I should know because I marked it, but
should have it memorized.
66. I know, right? This one you
Sure.
should.
Okay, this one's called Cupid. I should know it. Here, this is the entirety of it. What I want to know is, what idiot gave that fucking blind kid a bow and arrow? That's partners to As the Crow Flies, which goes, the shortest distance, the straight line. When the fuck has that ever happened?
I love those.
Those are the two short ones.
Those are the two. Well, there's a very short one at the very, very end as well,
Oh yeah, that's kind of a
which is exactly like heads or tails. There's a lot in here. I don't know if we have time. I mean, I hope you can read some more because I love. Well, there's so many poems I love, but I love Drive and LA is a Bad Place to Die. I think
yeah.
is
Why don't we read that?
utterly brilliant. It's page 71.
LA's a bad place to die, with its ironic sunlight on the day of your passing, its improbable frost on a winter's summer morning, completely forgotten, like you, by midday when the mercury hits 80. The once hoped for narrative of your life, the celluloid cuttings on a Friday floor, swept by Santa Ana into a keystone sequence, a horror of nonsense, a 1 in a million shot that what's remembered or assembled by chaos will provoke a tear or a laugh, find an arc, a hedge against projected eternity. A tale edited by an idiot, full of surround sound and fury, dignifying nothing. The parched desert plain mistakes your blood for rain, and the rest is science. Vote for me.
Wish we could.
What are your favorites?
Well, I love Carbon Canyon, but I think it's too long to read now. We should open up to questions. But Carbon Canyon is one that was inspired by my daughter.
Beautiful poem.
Okay.
Do we have time? I
Yeah.
think. Come on.
So yeah, it's cool to read it here because everybody knows Carbon Canyon is just around the corner there. Not around the corner, but you know what I mean. You know where it is. And we lived in Carbon Canyon then, before the fires. Unpack that given irony. Were there no carbon copies, we so unique and blessed? There was a time when I walked with my 3-year-old daughter, I think 3. Anyway, I know we were walking the deep decline of Carbon Canyon on one of those short, mommyless jaunts, and we came upon the recently car-crushed carcass of a gray field mouse, part 3-dimensional, as in life, part flattened, as in a drawing, the weight of the car having made its lower half unreal, a cartoon, the driver long gone, unaware of their handiwork, guiltless. A tiny trickle of blood from its slightly opened mouth, a last profound unheard utterance, so perfectly dramatic and telling, as if to seem placed by a movie crew, hiding in the bushes, perhaps. And my daughter, 2, 3, 4, about to spy it on the ground, and I, a daddy, with knowledge spilling out of my pockets, life lessons, sense of teaching moment for the disquisition on mortality that every parent believes every 3-year-old needs. See, it all ends. Best laid plans and all that. Life's unfair. Carpe diem, little one. Latin for heaven. There but for the grace of God. In these moments, I realize I am nothing but a recording of my own parents' voices, their greatest hits. my soul their phonograph. Fade in. A father slows his daughter, allowing the chance to happen upon a dead mouse. It, death knowledge, consequence, mortality. But it is only now, as we kneel, that I notice the vibrant cha-cha line of ants dancing in and out of the ruined creature in all their anarchic discipline, carrying to and fro unseeable bits of meat and nutrient mouse ooze. And my breath catches, because suddenly this lesson is for Daddy. And it is Daddy who cannot face too much death. The death after death, my death in this mouse's mouth, my daughter's death. I'm not quite stomach enough to face the pieces of us all carried off into oblivion, eaten till we are recognizable, unrecognizable, digested, shit, roadkill. Dizzying, I say, oh, let's go, sweetheart. But it's too late. My daughter, 2 or 3 or 4, has seen, leans down farther, her blue eyes an inch or 2 from the ground, and says, Daddy, look, the ants. There's so many of them. Yes, I see. Maybe we should let the mouse sleep. Let her sleep. I take her hand to lead her, though I don't know where. I know I am blind and unprepared, a child leading a child. And the little one stops and smiles and points back to the carnage. No, the ants, Daddy, the ants. Look how much they love her. That would be another example of like a time, of a reconception of time. This is a reconception of love. You know, like we think we have these things to teach the innocent, and then sometimes the innocence teaches us something that is illogical but more profound than we would ever think of.
Yeah, amazing. And the fathers in this book that you,
Oh, my father.
your father, you, God,
Yeah,
God as the father
God
who's
is a changed man.
God is a changed man.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I love that. But also the very last piece of it really spoke to me, where he says, sorry, it's a little inside baseball, but where I think he says something like, "I'm not sure that's good that for my kid," basically.
Oh, the God poem.
The God
Yeah.
poem, yeah.
Yeah, there's a poem where God is like, why do you keep reminding me that I killed my son? I know I don't like. We both are trying to forget.
Yeah.
You know, I can see he's unhappy. You know, he's pissed off at me.
Right.
Why do you build all these churches just to remind me of what I did? Can't we forget? It's a lot about forgetting in this, right?
Yeah.
How do we forget? What do we forget? What is right to forget? And what is right to remember?
Right. And how humiliating it is that he looks so shitty on the cross.
Oh.
He's really skinny.
Oh.
He's
That's
dead.
it.
His poor
He's
son
not
must feel
eating.
awful
He
about that.
wasn't eating.
He wasn't getting fed.
Yeah.
God is a changed man.
Yeah. Well, that kind of came out. That kind of thinking came out of. I wrote a novel called Truly Like Lightning, and I did a lot of Mormon study for that because the main characters were Mormon, and the Mormon conception of man and woman is that we're all actually gods in the making. So it was like, oh, what an interesting conception of a God who changes, or that we're all God, or you know. I'm not saying I'm a Mormon or condoning Mormonism or anything like that, but I'm just saying, oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
It is. And you want your own planet when you die.
Yeah, you get your own planet. You do.
I know.
There's a
You
lot of
do.
real estate up there.
I feel like if you guys are ready,
Yeah.
great. Open it up to some questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. My gosh.
Good, we're opening up to questions.
Oh,
Did I put him to sleep?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, right there.
Hi, David.
Hi.
So you have some poems written from the perspective of your character in the reservoir.
Oh, yeah.
So was that written the same time as the book or after?
That was written, yeah. I think when I don't remember, to be honest with you, but it was written around that same time. And I think I was thinking I was going to try and write a series of stories about that guy. And so I just started writing poems in that voice. They're more rhymey than the other poems. They're a different voice for sure. They're kind of, I don't know if they're in his voice, Ridley's voice, but they're in a different voice from the other poems. I kind of like them, but nobody ever talks about them, so maybe they're not very good. But thank you. Yeah.
What's your writing process? Do you go back? Do you edit? How does that work?
I think my process. I used to think I was just lazy because I don't rewrite a lot, and that could be true. I could have been right, but I also think at some point I learned, or I came to this conception that I want to honor the original impulse, even though. I mean, my poems are not strictly formalistic, so I don't really have to go back and count syllables or make stuff rhyme that's not rhyming. So I don't have to do that kind of cleanup. I can do other kinds of cleanup. Certainly, I change words if I've repeated them and stuff like that. But there came a time, which I found as an actor too, early on. I like not to rehearse so much because I like mistakes to happen in an organic way, and not to be too on top of everything all the time. That I found to be the most liberating and exciting part of acting. And it can be that way as a writer too, when you surprise yourself and you want to honor, in some ways, the sense of that surprise on the page. So if I'm going to rewrite, I have to have a good reason. And some of these poems were so old that I rewrote a couple lines here and there, but I was really careful not to, because I was rewriting somebody else. I mean, I'm just not that person anymore. So it's like I don't have the right to rewrite that person. You know, I cleaned up a couple things that I didn't like, but I started to go, no, I don't want to open this up because I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, I don't know as much as I want to know in order to rewrite. I can't. I barely can rewrite what I did yesterday. So that's the way I was feeling. Was that the question?
Yeah, that answers it.
Oh, my
Sounds
process.
Like it's
My process.
mostly in one sitting, or
Mostly.
kind of? Yeah.
Mostly, yeah. I know there was a poet that I love, John Berryman. He used to put his rough drafts under glass, and he'd read them and read them and read them until he'd be so angry at all the shit that he wanted to change, but he couldn't change it. And he'd take it out. He'd like, so maybe I should do a little more of that.
No.
Anybody else?
When you're writing poems and they come to you, are you like grabbing the nearest piece of paper or notes on your phone or anything to just
Yeah,
get
sadly, it's like the iPad stuff now. I mean, I definitely I think differently with a pen in my hand or a keyboard in front of me, but mostly I think differently when I'm writing. So I don't even know. I mean, I'll have an idea of what I want to write about, or a phrase or a notion, but I won't know what I'm thinking really about it until I write it. And if I were to compose it in my head, it would be very different. I mean, sometimes I'll compose a couple lines if I'm just kind of waking up, because I like to write early. So if I'm like, oh yeah, okay, here's something, but I can't get that far, you know. So when I write, I just become a different animal when I'm actually pencil in hand or pen in hand. I like pencils. Yeah.
I read your forward, and you have this image of the poem being born, and it rides the wave of its own dissolution, like a piece of ice on hot iron, something like that. From frost.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting image, but I find it hard to understand if that goes for every poem, or that process that in expressing it kind of dissolves. Is that how you feel about poetry? And could it go another way? Could the impulse become something other than a poem? it ends up in an action, or it becomes something entirely different. An idea of
An action movie.
I don't know. I mean, mostly the reason I would write something as a poem is because it doesn't have a plot or it doesn't have an action. But oddly, I've come to find that screenplays, when I write a screenplay, they're more poetic than fiction is. They're more poetic than other kinds of writing because the screenplay is really just image after image. If it's good, if it's bad, it's explaining to you what's going on because you can't shoot the explanation, right? So it's dialogue, that's important. But then, like, what do I see? What do I see? What do I see? What do I see? What does it look like? What does it look like? And that's very much like a poem, which is like image, image, image.
Mhm.
Thought. Thought in image, embodied thought. Thought externalized. I think what Frost meant was that each poem is kind of the arbiter of its own rules. It announces itself, this is what I am, this is what I'm about. Here are my rules. And then by the end of it, it's kind of broken its own rules and finished itself. In that way, I like it. I find it meditative to read poems because you really have to meet it on its own terms. It's not like, oh, I'm reading a narrative and I have this image in my mind of what's going on in the physical world. It's like, what the hell is going on, you know? So I think that's the way I see it, or maybe that's my interpretation of what Frost was talking about.
I'm learning a lot.
Anybody else? Yes, back there.
So when you're writing poetry, how does it compare to when you're writing lyrics for your songs?
The lyrics are rhyming, you know. I like to rhyme in the lyrics. I'm a big fan of the rhyming lyrics. So I'm not such a big fan of rhyming poems. I mean, sometimes I'll throw a rhyme in there because it surprises me. But, you know, in lyrics, they have to be like graspable and understandable right away. You know, like you're only hearing it that one time. There's music around it. It's not that clear. And often the rhyme will elucidate the word that you missed on the previous round. So cliches work really well. You know, everything that doesn't work in a poem. Like if you saw even the greatest lyricists, like Bob Dylan or Leonard Cohen, you know, they do publish their books of lyrics. But honestly, if you looked at them, you go, you know, the best lyrics ever, and that's saying something, but it's not the best poem ever. There's a poem, I say in the introduction, the lyrics they have to make way for the music. They can't be everything. So, and once you see them naked without their music, then you really see how kind of inadequate they are on their own. But a poem has to be the music and the words, so it really has to function every way. I'm not, you know, slagging Dylan and all the great ones because that's a genius in and of itself. It's just different. It's just slightly different. I mean, he won the Nobel or the Pulitzer for poetry, which is it's a travesty, but that's fine because he deserves everything because he's the best, but not that. I mean, I think he might agree.
I was just wondering, because you've done so many different creative outlets now, what has been the most rewarding acting or podcasting?
I think because of my personal history with my father and my mom publishing a novel, like the first time even though it wasn't my best novel, the first one, I got one out, you know, I did it. It was like my dad, you know, but I was a little younger. And it was really, also they had sacrificed so much to send me to good schools.
Right.
And I'd sacrificed a lot by doing a lot of hard work at those schools. And it was kind of, for me, it was really a sense of, oh, I didn't throw all that shit out, you know. Mm-hmm. And my parents didn't sacrifice for nothing, you know. And so to have the novel in my hand, and there's a moment when you get your book, you know, it's like, when I had that first one in my hand, that was meaningful to me. It was very meaningful, and it was the same with my mom. My mom didn't read my damn books, you know? But she would like do this. She goes, and it was really that sense in which it existed. Like, yeah, you did something. You did something. I mean, I could look at box sets of things I did or DVDs of movies I've done. It somehow wasn't the same.
Interesting.
Back there in the stripes.
What do you hope people learn about from this collection?
Absolutely nothing. Yeah. I hope people learn about themselves. That's always my sense of what a poem is. If it somehow speaks to you, that's the important thing. I'm weirdly private. I think I'm shy in some weird way. I don't like talking about things that have happened to me. So these poems are not like, and again, I'm going to go after somebody. They're not like Taylor Swift songs where you're supposed to, like connect the dots. Like I'm not engaged in that. I guess I don't know what I want you to learn. Just I mean, some of the things that I'm talking about tonight, I guess, some of these things, if they come around, if you read the poems and these things come back and help you enjoy the poems, then that's great. But mostly, it's really what it means to the person who's reading it. And that's really the magic of poetry or writing is not confession. I think we're in a different world now. The world that I grew up in, the one that the game that I wanted to engage with was this artistic game of self-expression that was universal. I think things have changed, that have become more confessional and pointing the spotlight back on the creator as a confessional. But that's not what I'm trying to do. It's possible that I've done that from time to time. But so that's the answer.
Are there
Is this a sticker?
I just timidly raised my hand. Were there any poems that didn't make it onto this book, and do you feel like you would be open to making a second poem?
Yeah, I mean, I've continued to write poems. I've got maybe 3 or 4. Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, if I get a critical mass together, or if I have an idea for, like a concept album, but I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, yes. Volume 2.
What would the title be?
Not again.
Yeah, you mentioned in your podcast that you feel like you're more of a conduit now, that you're like to be of service to that creative world. How do you feel about that? I mean, explain that if you.
Well, the podcast, I talk about failure in my podcast a lot with creative people. And so my inspiration for the podcast was I was very offended by the initial kind of Donald Trump saying winning, because I came from a more European sensibility, I guess, where it was all about losing, and that losing actually made you a human being, not winning. And I was really offended by this notion. I feel like I've been borne out, sadly. But so I just wanted to investigate the idea of failure and shame and the reaction to failure, and just the binary of success and failure being kind of like that's the thing I talked about with time. It's like maybe what I'm thinking of success and failure is actually reversed, like past and present or future. future, past. And it seems that way, the more I talk to people, if you freeze things in time, you can say, okay, that was a success or that was a failure. But if you take the long view, we don't know. We have no idea. We have no idea what's working, what's not. We think we do, but we don't. So that's terrifying, probably unpopular, but it seems to me to be the truth. So I like to have those discussions. I get tired of having to, you had to read my poems to be here. I have to do my homework and when I talk to people. And sometimes I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to do it. So I'm tired of doing homework. I want to be like the guys on Smart List, where the whole thing is like, I don't know who's coming on. There's no preparation. That's the brilliant part of that podcast. It's like, how do I make a show where the rule is I can't do any homework? So hats off to them. But as a creative person, as somebody who's like involved in my own creative life and creating things, sometimes it feels, oh, I don't want to like read your stuff today. I'd rather, I'm complaining. I don't need to complain. You know what I mean? You get overwhelmed with other people's ideas. Anybody else? Hand up there.
Me again.
Me again. That would be another good title.
How many, and I'm not asking for an exact number, but
4.
How many, if any, poems didn't make the cut?
Oh. I wouldn't know, but there were probably the older ones, a few of the older ones that I couldn't see rewriting, like I said, to your first question, or that I just wasn't feeling them.
Yeah.
Oddly, from this question over here, I originally was going to be all the poems that I had and all the lyrics. So the book was originally like that, and I sent it to Mary Carr, the memoirist, great writer and poet. And I said, will you blurb the book? And she does. She blurbs it right here she's a great blurber. And she said, but I don't think you should include the lyrics. It confuses things. And I was like, fuck off. I'll take your blurb and you can go fuck yourself. And then a couple weeks past, I told my editor, I said, Mary Carr didn't think I should include the lyrics. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. I said, what do you mean it's interesting? And 2 weeks later, I was like, Mary Carr's right. So, no lyrics. For all those reasons that I was making fun of the great Bob Dylan. Yes.
I was wondering if in actor preparation, just to get to know a character, you've ever written any poetry in response to that?
No, but I had this movie I did in June. One of the other actors gave me a poem that he'd written to my character. I was like, this isn't the way to do it. It was cool though. He gave me a little gift, a little poem. I have not. But that's not to say that I won't.
Just wait. It's coming next.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll end it here so we have plenty of time for signing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. A few reminders for people who came in late. Please no photos. Please only signing books. And when you stand up, if you could fold your chair for me and just put it against the wall, that would be super
Thank you.
helpful.
That was
We
great.
have plenty of copies of the book. If you
Fascinating.
still need to purchase it, you can come right up here for that, and then we'll
Where's
have the
Laura
sign
live?
behind
Laura
against this
Bickford.
wall.
She's in New York.
That's really nice.
She moved to New